Hello everyone! With the Cataclysm, we had the opportunity to obtain the legendary known as Dragonwrath Taragosa's Rests. I've never actually seen the questline for myself before, so I figured it would be fun to collect and record it on stream. And today we're going to talk about the story, which is heavily connected to the blue dragonflight and the selection of the new aspects. Now to fully understand it all, we'll first have to talk about Malygos, the first aspect of the flight, who was betrayed by his longtime friend Neltharion during the War of the Ancients. This war against the Legion, it had the Night Elves fight the demons for the fate of the world, but not even the dragon aspects could stay out of this conflict. It was during one of the gatherings that Neltharion the Earthwarder proposed a solution. He convinced his fellow aspects to sacrifice a portion of their power and infuse it into the dragon soul, later to be known as the demon soul. This weapon would focus their powers and scour the Legion from the face of Azeroth.
That terrible glow. Should that be?
For it to be as it must, yes.
It is a weapon like no other. It must be like no other.
Unknown to the other aspects was that Neltharion was actually listening to the whispers of the old gods, and darkness had pervaded the aspects' once great hearts. On the battlefield, he did indeed unleash the might of the soul upon the demons, but he also turned it against the Night Elves and even his fellow dragons. In his mind, fed by the whispers of the old gods, all should bow down to him, and Malygos, who had stood by his side and had helped convince the others, he made it his duty to get rid of the foul device. The blue dragonflight surrounded Neltharion like a pack of wolves. Great spells that eradicated everything out of existence were unleashed, but Neltharion held the combined might of the aspects in his claws. He held forth the demon soul. Instead of golden light that had decimated so much of the land below, a grey one shot forth in every direction. Malygos created a shield of smoke, but plain smoke it might as well have been. The grey light caught him, threw him back hard, he sailed over the hills, over the horizon, roaring in agony all the way. For his consorts and followers, however, the fate that Neltharion had in mind was much more horrific. As one, the dragons shriveled. They deflated like draining water sacks. Their cries were terrible to behold. Though they struggled, none could escape the grasping grey illumination. The other dragons, they sought to come to their rescue, but it was already too late. Reduced to dry husks, their magic and their life force drained by the demon soul, the dying blue dragons faded at last to dust that scattered to the winds. Neltharion would then be known by his true name, Deathwing, while the blue dragonflight was nearly wiped out. All of this pushed Malygos into millennia of madness, but the world did survive Deathwing and the War of the Ancients. The demon soul was eventually destroyed, and the aspects did regain their power. Even his sanity would return to the blue dragon aspects, but as he looked upon the world with clear eyes, he figured that the world was abusing magic, and he tried to take it all into the Nexus, away from mortal hands. This started the so-called Nexus War during Wrath of the Lich King, where we were eventually forced to go into the Nexus and take out Malygos himself. This left their flight without a leader and an aspect, which takes us into the Cataclysm, where Deathwing broke out of the world and planned to bring about the Hour of Twilight. Still working with the old gods, he recruited some allies to bring this mission to fruition. Amongst them was the Twilight's Hammer, Elakir the Windlord, and Ragnaros the Fire Lord.
Great spirits, please speak to me. Show me what I must do. Shaman, and the Fire Lord has answered. You and your kind thought that the fires of doom had been quenched. But I will show you the truth. World and all that you hold dear exist only to burn. The end comes, son of Durotan. The final hour of twilight. And there is nothing you can do to stop it.
But of course, the world of Azeroth would not just surrender like that. Heroes of the Alliance and Horde ventured forth into the elemental plane of fire, the Firelands itself, to take on Ragnaros and all of his forces. After killing one of his minions, the pleasant image and calm voice of Corridormi fills our minds. She's been called to collect us, to deliver us to her master who seeks an audience with us. The reason is unknown to her, but an invitation from the bronze dragonflight like this, it should not be taken lightly. Anachronos seldom has cause to interact with mortals, so we seek him out in the caverns of time, where he has a dire vision to share.
Listen well, mortal. Countless threads are woven to create the fabric of our timeline. As the Wardens of Time, we of the Bronze Dragonflight observe their infinite combinations. When disruptions are detected by our Watchers, we are charged with their repair. A recent event, obscured by powerful magics, remains masked even to me. But the catastrophic outcome is plain. Azeroth will burn. While the details remain shrouded from our view, one thing we have gleaned is that the fate of Azeroth hinges on the deeds of a mortal. Are you the mortal on which so much depends? Only time will tell.
Powerful magics are at play to prevent the Keepers from Time from seeing what goes down, so our first task, both to prove ourselves and to further their cause, is to assist with the creation of an eye. We have to go into the Firelands and collect 25 eternal embers from the bosses inside, and also purchase 3 Sands of Time from Jasmine, the innkeeper at Oasis of Vizar in Uldum. With the necessary materials gathered, we then return to Anachronos, who breathes the timeless eye to life. While we were busy in the Firelands and gathering the sands, the Bronze Dragonflight spent their time determining when, and most importantly, where their vision was obscured. They discovered that the shroud was placed over the Nexus, far to the north in the realm of the Blue Dragonflight. The Timeless Eye has been attuned to show us the events that remain hidden, but we have to bring it to Koldara to find a suitable place for its activation.
What? What foolishness is this? You there! Have your senses abandoned you? Koldara is no place for mortals now. You must leave at once if you value your life.
The Blues are not exactly in the mood to entertain guests. If anyone else would have found us, we'd already be dead. But Taragosa is a wiser one, and she listens to our story. It's a tale that rings true. As much has changed since the death of Malygos, little of it for the better. She knows of only one place in all of Koldara that would allow us to use the Timeless Eye discreetly, and she's kind enough to escort us through the Nexus to get there.
The rift can be reached through this hall. Follow me. Stay close. If we are caught, it will be the end of both of us. A sentry approaches. Hide yourself, quickly!
A Nexus Warden, the servant of Taragosa, walks by as we sneak through. Icebound Sentinels and Magical Hunters also don't take kindly to our presence here, but together we are able to get through.
Security here is much stronger than I recall. What is Taragosa protecting? More sentries approach. There's no other way.
Well done, milady. I will have the intruder disposed of at once.
I'll handle this one. See if you can find any others.
As you wish.
Thankfully, we have Taragosa on our side, but the next security gets away and activates Security Protocol 11B.
We cannot afford this delay!
Our blue ally ends up pacified as the sentries keep her down, but we take them out and we continue with our journey.
Follow me, mortal. The rift is near. Protect me while I break the barrier. Assist me! There are too many!
Zerados, a dark hound shows up to take us on. Now, of course, you'll have to use a little bit of your imagination to imagine this fight taking a lot longer, but eventually we bring the beastie down and Taragosa removes the wall blocking our path.
What? Twilight dragons? Here? Quickly, make your way across the chasm.
Twilight dragons, creations of the Black Dragon Symphoria, while actually following the plans of her consort Deathwing. They've infiltrated the Nexus, and while Taragosa deals with Tiranar, we clear and hop from platform to platform to get to the other side.
Aren't you tricky? I have a few tricks of my own.
The platform burns and crumbles, but we are able to make it to the other side, and Taragosa won't go down that easily. She clears the way by assaulting a whole bunch of the Twilight from the sky, but Tiranar is not ready to give up quite yet.
At last, we have arrived.
You pose no threat, lesser beings. Give me your worst.
Our friend was able to lower his health by quite a bit as we finish what she started, and we can finally use the Timeless Eye to see what the hell is going on.
I have agreed to this meeting, Worldbreaker, but at great risk. If this is discovered...
Calm yourself, Eros. Your barrier will buy you all the time you need. With Calicos dead, your destiny as the blue aspect shall be realized.
And once this new order is established, my place will be secure, yes?
Your reign over the realm of magic will be absolute, even after the hour of twilight. But be warned, Eros, son of Malygos. Do not make the mistakes of your father. Cross me, and your punishment will be greater than the madness he suffered.
There's a special event coming up, one that only takes place every approximately 430 years. In that moment, the two moons of Azeroth, they will embrace, and legend has it that the moons were in this conjunction when the Titans created the first aspects. For this reason, the Blue Dragonflight believes this moment to be the opportunity of selecting a new aspect, and it seems like Taragosa will do everything in his power to follow in his father's footsteps, even ally himself with Deathwing and plan the murder of Malygos. Tarecgosa can't believe it, won't believe it. Not even Taragosa would dare to go to such lengths. She doesn't question our integrity, but we have to understand our mortal minds can easily be deceived. Regardless, there is one that should be informed about these events, the Blue Dragon Malygos, who's hanging out at the Nordersil Inn in Mount Hyjal. There's a special connection between these two dragons. When she was but a hatchling, Malygos was charged with her protection and education. Over the millennia, they forged a special bond, not unlike what we would call siblings. She was born under a special sign that foretold of a great destiny. If the prophecies are to be true, then her survival is of vital importance to the Blue Dragonflight and to Azeroth itself.
You seem troubled.
As we track down Malygos, he listens to our tale, and though he believes our vision in the Nexus to almost certainly be an elaborate illusion, it would still be irresponsible of him not to investigate. That means that his mission, the reason why he came to Nordersil to begin with, that now falls upon us as he is going to investigate. A bough from Nordersil has been ripped from the tree and taken deep into the Firelands. There, a powerful ritual threatens to corrupt Nordersil, consume it in flame. We must find a way to interrupt this ritual and reclaim the World Tree's branch, but that's easier said than done, since they were wise enough to take it into a special location within the Firelands, not easily accessed by outsiders. Shanox, Beftelek, Alice Razor, and Lord Ryalith, all of them hold pieces of a focus that we need to charge up and combine them to open up the portal. Now, if you also want to do this questline, and you can do it solo, then check out the links to the guides in the description down below, and hopefully they help you out. Once we've collected all the charged focuses, we go to the Circle of Thorns to open up our gateway. This takes us into the Anvil of Conflagration, where a whole bunch of Harbingers of Flames, they're casting their magic on that branch of Nordersil that they've stolen. Killing them allows us to touch it, but our trials aren't over quite yet. Their meddling has made the branch incredibly unstable, and the Tormented Protector, flames consuming its very core, it pops out. All we can do is stop the fires from consuming him further, and as a reward, he grants us a buff that will assist us against the real threats.
Enough! Stop! The fires torment me no longer, but I am consumed. You, friend of Nordersil, take what remains of my strength and fight back the flames! May the spirit of the great tree shelter you.
Now we too are a freaking tree, dance moves included, while molten cracks appear along the branch of Nordrassil.
Come, kindling! Nordrassil's power will be mine!
Volcanus the Fire Lord is ready to put a stop to us, but not only do we look amazing right now, the buff also increases our haste and damage dealt by 100%, reduces our damage taken by 95%, and even restores 10% of our mana every 2 seconds. With the powers of Nordrassil at our side, we take out this Fire Lord. Fire shoots out from the branch, explosions happen, until nothing of the vile fire remains. Wrested from Nordrassil and bathed in the flames of the Firelands, this staff now rises with its combined powers. We even get a lovely buff for a bit, Blessed Defender of Nordrassil, including a temporary title, as we report back to Malygos, this time at the Ember Ledge in Northrend. Much has happened since last we spoke. He has taken upon himself to visit the Nexus and recover the timeless eye to see for himself what we had witnessed. With his magical powers, he now joins the branch and the eye together, increasing its power for the journey ahead. He is convinced that the vision in the Nexus, it must be one of Deathwing's illusions designed to bring conflict to their flight at a very fragile time. Still, they refuse to believe that Taragosa would ally himself with Deathwing. Instead, it has to be some sort of scheme to start infighting amongst their flights. Still, a gnawing sense of unease, it tempts him to take a path of caution. It would be very wise to travel with him and take Taragosa somewhere safe until the time of choosing.
Taragosa! What is the meaning of this? A new aspect of magic has already been selected. There is no place for you, Malygos. You are dismissed!
You shall not have him! Ah!
Oh, Taragosa.
Oh, Taragosa, sacrificing herself to keep Calyx safe, but it was he who was charged with her protection, and he cannot bear to lose her. Never has a mortal born the essence of a true dragon, but with our permission, he could make an exception. He is going to bind Taragosa's spirit to us.
I am with you. I am with you.
This bond is only temporarily though, since it will require the power of an aspect to permanently seal her essence. They won't be selecting a new one until Azeroth's moon eclipse, and the bond that we share will not last until then. Fortunately, he does know of a way to buy some time. Powerful elementals exist that can extend the ritual's effect. Again, we return to the Firelands to collect 1,000 seething cinders from the bosses there, and this takes us so long that by the time that we return to Malygos, the time of choosing is already upon us. While only members of the Blue Dragonflight may attend, Taragosa's binding, it makes our presence necessary. We could take on her form and vote on her behalf, as we're allowed to accompany Malygos at the Blue Dragon Council. Now, despite the questline saying that only members of the Blue Dragonflight may attend, that's not actually true, as there was another mortal allowed to witness these events. In the novel, Thrall, Twilight of the Aspects, the former war chief of the Horde, now shaman of the Earthen Ring, he goes around on a very special mission, helping out the different dragonflights. He's eventually carried by the bronze dragon Tick to the Nexus to meet up with the Blues and offer his help. Taragosa, he quickly wants to get rid of the mortal, but Malygos wants to hear him out. Even goes as far as to stand with Thrall, stating that if they make Thrall leave, he'll leave as well, and with him, many other Blues would follow. Thrall has been able to help other aspects before. Perhaps he could help them with the selection of a new one as well, and despite his wishes, Taragosa can't do much in the moment, and he allows the orc to stay. Unknown to all of them at that point is that he's truly working together with Deathwing and the Twilight Father, who desperately wants Thrall to be gone since he could be a problem for their plans. And those that have played through the Cataclysm, you know that they would be right. Still, in this very moment, Thrall observes their discussions and has a little chat with Malygos. They discuss the special event coming up, how the Blue Flight doesn't really expect anything magical to happen, but that it does seem like an appropriate time to vote for the new aspects. I do not particularly have ambitions to leadership, Thrall, but I tell you this. I fear for my flight, and for this world, if Taragosa becomes the blue aspect. Thrall smiles. Not all who become leaders crave the power that goes with it. I did not, but I did burn to help my people, to free them, to find them a home where they could belong. To protect them, so that our culture could flourish. I, at least, believe you to be the best choice. I only hope the rest of your flight agrees. I would not do it if I did not have to, said Kalik. In a way, I am not sure what to hope for. An aspect in name only, or an aspect with all the powers that one ought to have. For me, it would be hard to surrender to being something so different. It is something I never imagined having to consider. Something no one ever did. It is a great burden. And Kalik was afraid. You think it will change you, if it truly happens? Kalik nodded. I am already, by the reckoning of most of those in the old world, a very powerful being. It is all I've ever known, and so it's easy to bear the responsibility. But an aspect? Vrouw, an aspect is not just a dragon with extra powers. It is something else again. Something... He floundered for the words. It will change me. It has to, but 2 of the 5 of them went mad. Alexstrasza may be walking that line herself, and Nosdormu nearly lost himself forever in his own realm of time. What will becoming an aspect do to me? That is a very important question, my friend. You do not know what it will do to you, but there will always be things that even a dragon cannot anticipate. You can only act on what you do know, what your heart and your head and your gut tell you is right. The question of what it will do to you is not the one you need to ask. You've already asked the right question. What will it do to my people if Taragosa becomes aspects? Thrall nodded. See, you already know what to ask, and you do not know the answer to that question either. But you know enough so that you will choose to open yourself to the responsibility rather than subjecting them to Taragosa's rule. Kalik was silent. Taragosa makes much of his bloodline, he said at last. But what he doesn't understand is our entire flight, our entire race should be a family, be united. Taragosa's way of thinking will no longer help us, if it ever did. And if the flight allows him, yes, they will be independent blues, separate unto themselves. But they will also be dead, or worse. He smiled gently. My head, heart, and gut tell me that. Then your choice is already made. I am still afraid. And I cannot shake the feeling that this makes me a coward. No, Thrall said. It simply makes you wise. And so, like us, Thrall was also there as the celestial event took place.
We gather to determine the fate of our troubled flight. Our history has been wrought with great challenges. Our future promises even greater threats. These circumstances demand a powerful leader. I was raised at the feet of my father. I watched as he steered us through adversity, never flinching from difficult decisions. Some called my father mad, but even in his darkest hours, his vision was clear. He put the needs of this flight first and foremost. He sought to consolidate our rightful power, fortifying us for the cataclysm that he saw coming. Brothers, we must take what is ours. Under my leadership, this flight will rise again, beyond the glory of our past, onwards to an even greater destiny. I will see to it!
Brothers, sisters, Taragosa speaks of our troubled past. Indeed, we have suffered greatly. But I would contend that we are at least partly to blame for the scars we bear. Let us turn from our old ways. Let us not seek to extinguish magic from the world, but to use it responsibly for the benefit of Azeroth and all its inhabitants. It is true that our choice here today will affect the destiny of our flight, and likely the destiny of the world. May the Titans guide us. May we be inspired to choose with wisdom.
The ritual was not an intellectual exercise, nor was it about a vote amongst the blues for who they thought would be the best candidates. It was not about the title of aspect given to one who would use it as a tool for himself and his flight. The celestial phenomenon was called the Embrace. This was about the heart of the blue dragonflight, not its brain. The new aspect could never be granted powers by thought alone. The Titans had done what they felt was right, and so now, in this moment, had the blue dragonflight. They had listened, not just with their minds, but with their hearts, when Thrall and Kalik had spoken. They had watched Thrall watch them, and noticed his reactions. It would seem that they had heard him, about living in the moment, about the wonder with which they should regard their own lives, their own abilities, their own selves.
Fools! Neltharion, take you all!
What we don't get to see is Taragosa calling for the Twilight Dragons to attack, Thrall then jumping on Kalix's back, the blues outnumbered, but with their new aspect at their side, they're still winning. Taragosa would retreat to the Eye of Eternity and meet his ultimate fate, while Thrall and the 4 aspects, they will go on dealing with other threats. Now for us, in this very questline, we have Malygos as the new blue dragon aspect, who uses his newfound power to strengthen our bond with Taragosa. It's now stable, and the powers that we gather to sustain that bond, they're infused within the staff.
I am with you always.
We're not quite done yet though, as Taragosa's spirit, it requires a more permanent home rather than being stuck inside our body. Once more, we venture into the plane of fire. We use our runestaff on Nordersil to drain 250 smoldering essences of the vanquished bosses, and we even collect the Heart of Flame from Ragnaros himself. Upon finishing the job, we then meet up with Tarecgosa, who lets us know that our deeds echo in the ears of Azeroth's creatures, mortal and immortal alike. It's a fine day for a ceremony, a fine day for a hero's rewards.
Welcome. We've been expecting you.
You are to be congratulated for your success in the Firelands. But praise alone will not suffice. We owe you a great deal for the part you have played in the destiny of our flight. Present me your staff, that we may endow it with great power. Finally, Taragosa, our beloved sister whose essence you have generously borne, has chosen this staff as her permanent home. May her presence be a source of comfort and companionship to you. We thank you, friend of the blue dragonflight.
And there ends the story of Dragonwrath, Tarecgosa's Rest. The blue dragon, who was like a sibling to Malygos, sacrificed her life not only just to save his, but to save the fate of her entire flight. We played a small part in the selection of a new aspect of magic, and despite its reign being short-lived, as the aspects, they sacrificed their power and immortality to defeat Deathwing, we still gained a very powerful weapon, which even allows us to change our appearance into that of Tarecgosa. I would love for Blizzard to add like a toy, or maybe even drop the item in a mount slot, so that we could use the same effect without the weapon in our slot, because, you know, nobody really uses the weapon anymore. But hey, maybe one day they actually add it to the game. You can also pick up a very cute pet from your guild vendor now after finishing this questline, honoring the legendary member of the Blue Dragonflight.
Oh, Taragosa.
I am with you always.
As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, guys, see ya!